Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz. This is Ron's Bank Shot Breakdown. We're going to go over 5 college basketball games for Thursday, March 7th, 2024. If you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my Bank Shot Best Bet and college hoops, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Thursday in college basketball. First up, we'll go to the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament, the first round between Missouri State and Murray State. This one's going to be 1 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be on ESPN+. We took Murray State plus the points in its last game against Indiana State, one of the best teams, not just in the conference, but in mid-major college basketball. And although Indiana State shot amazing in that game, they were 66 or 65% from two-point range, 55% from three. They made 11 of 23 pointers and 22 of 23 from the free throw line, 96%. Murray State still somehow was able to cover the number on the road as that double-digit underdog, barely, but still a cover nonetheless, losing that game by 12. And it was a game where Murray State played pretty well fundamentally. They had 9 more offensive rebounds. They forced 4 more turnovers. They shot pretty well from the three-point line and the free throw line as well. But Murray State, I think, is a team that's just been flying under the radar for a large part of this season. When you look at these two teams' records on paper, you'd think that Missouri State was the much better team, but really, I think Murray State was a much better team at the end of the regular season, especially as Missouri State lost 6 of the last 8 games, including a game against Murray State. And of those 2 wins that they had, they were against Valpo, the weakest team in the conference, at home by single digits. Not an amazing win there. And then Illinois Chicago at home, another team that's probably near the bottom of the Missouri Valley rankings, in my opinion. So Murray State already proved it can beat this team. They beat them by double digits in the last matchup not too long ago. Murray State, I think it's, when you look at this team, they're experienced. I think they have the more talent. I think it was a slow start to the regular season. Non-conference play, they were 3-9, but they scheduled a pretty tough non-conference slate. They played Mississippi State, SMU. They played Appalachian State, a neutral site, a team that could be a tournament team if they win their conference. So I think Murray State's fine here. I like the fact that they take care of the basketball. They're strong on the defensive glass. We're starting to see them be more active on the offensive glass like we saw in that last game against the Sycamores. So I'm going to go with Murray State in this one. I think we're getting a really good price with a much better team. Next up, we see Pacific and Pepperdine in the first round of the West Coast Conference Tournament. This one's going to be 5:30 Eastern. It's going to be on ESPN+. Pacific, we know it was a really rough regular season for this team. 6-25 overall, 0-16 in conference play. Of course, losing both games of this regular season series with Pepperdine, both by double digits. And, sometimes we can find value with those teams that have bad records. We've done it plenty of times this year with teams like Detroit Mercy, Mississippi Valley State just recently against Prairie View A&M when they won the game outright. But in this spot, I just don't think the Pacific has enough here. I think Pepperdine matches up well here. But also, I think Pepperdine's one of the more underrated teams in this conference, and a team that may be able to make a decent run in this conference tournament if, it gets hot offensively, which we see, this team could certainly do. They scored 90 points against Pacific last time out, 89 points to be exact. But, Pepperdine, one of the more experienced coaches in this conference. A defense, I think, is underrated. Still not a great defense, but I think a defense that's better than the 360th we see them ranked as an effective field goal percentage. They're a really good defensive rebounding team, and Pacific is one of the weakest offensive rebounding teams in the country. So Pepperdine should be able to hold Pacific to 1 shot per trip almost every possession in this ball game. And I just don't think Pacific is a good enough shooting team to keep up with Pepperdine for 40 minutes. Pepperdine's offense is really solid. Fundamentally, shot quality-wise, they get off really good looks. And they're playing decent basketball as of late. They won 3 and 3 in the last 6 games of the regular season. So for a team that's playing in this first round of the West Coast Conference Tournament, that's actually not too shabby. They struggled against some of the better teams in the conference like St. Mary's and San Francisco. But against Pacific, against Portland, we saw Pepperdine really take care of business in those games. And I think we see another double-digit win for the Pepperdine Waves in this spot. So I'm going to lay the points here with Pepperdine in the first round of this conference tournament. Next up, we see Marshall and Georgia State. This one's going to be an 8:30 Eastern start time. It's going to be on ESPN+. Now, this is one of those spots where I think we can get some value with a team that's struggling. They went on a giant losing streak to end the regular season. That's Marshall, where they lost the final 7 games in conference play, including the final game of the regular season to this Georgia State team. But that was an 82-79 final score, a really, really close game, a competitive game. I think Marshall honestly matches up well in this spot against Georgia State. I think Georgia State, not as good as its record. It's 14-16 overall, 8-10 conference play, so right around 500. but I do think that this team benefited from teams missing good looks. Defensively, they were ranked 99th in effective field goal percentage defense and 10th in three-point defense. Some of that is because they're forcing some tough shots, but they're still ranked 233rd in effective or in adjusted defensive efficiency. So this defense is not great by any means. They don't force a lot of turnovers. They're not great in the defensive glass. They take quite a few fouls. So I think Marshall's going to be able to get some scoring done, just like they did in that last game, putting up just under 80 points, even though Marshall's not a great shooting team. I also think Marshall's defense is plainly the better defense in this matchup. And a lot of times in these conference tournaments and these neutral site games, the better defense prevails. And, Marshall, the better rebounding team. They're more disciplined defensively, and they're playing with, direct revenge. They just lost to this Georgia State team. And because of that loss, we're getting really good, a really good price with Marshall, because, the easy decision would be, they take Georgia State. They just beat the same team, last week. It's going to be easy. They'll get it done again. I don't think so. I'm going to go with Marshall in this spot. I think they win the game outright. Next up, we see Washington and Washington State. We're going to end the night with two Pac-12 games. This one's going to be a 9 p.m. Eastern start time. It's going to be on Fox Sports 1. Washington, unless they win the Pac-12 tournament, not going to be making the NCAA tournament this year. Washington State, on the contrary, looking really good. Right now, they're ranked a projected 5 seed, 6 seed, depending on where you're looking. They're ranked 18th in the AP polls, of course. And we know this is a big rivalry game. And, Washington State won the first matchup at Washington. Really impressive win there in overtime, a 3-point win. And now at home, I think Washington State has what it takes to sweep this season series. A great home court advantage, playing against your rival. Sure, Washington's playing with revenge, but like I've said a few times, I'd much rather take a team playing with revenge when they're playing at home. And this is not a very good road team. Washington, only a few true road wins overall this season. They've been in conference play, but against some of the weaker teams in this conference, Oregon State, Arizona State, and they've also been a lot of close ones on the road. But in this spot, Washington State just a much better team, in my opinion. Fundamentally, shot quality-wise, they're in much better form. Washington's dealt with some injuries this season that have kind of really hurt this team, and it's unfortunate. I think at full strength, the Huskies could have really done some damage this year in the Pac-12, but where they stand right now, I don't think they're competitive enough in this game. So give me the Cougars. I'm going to lay the points at home. Next up, we see Colorado and Oregon. This one's going to be 9 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be on ESPN2. To me, this is a really brutal spot for Colorado because you're playing on the road. You're playing a team that's, looking for revenge. Oregon playing with revenge here after losing the first matchup at Colorado. Colorado's not known to be a very good road team. In fact, they've lost quite a few road games in conference play and non-conference play this season. They've been just a much, much better home team. And, they've lost some games on the road to teams you wouldn't expect, like UCLA, Arizona State, Cal, games that a team in the top 40 in KenPom should be able to pick up even on the road. And to me, Colorado is also dealing with some injuries, especially in the backcourt. So it was already a pretty inexperienced backcourt and a team that turns the ball over quite a bit. They're ranked 269th in turnover percentage offensively. That's a problem, especially when you're playing on the road in a tough environment. If you turn the ball over a few times, leads to some fast break points in the other end for the Ducks. The place is going to go crazy, and it's really tough to get back into a game like that. Colorado's a great shooting team. They're very talented. Their defense is underrated, but this is just the matchup, the situation, the spot, just not beneficial in my opinion. I'm going to go with Oregon here and lay the points to end the night. And that's it. Those are the games for Thursday in college basketball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, and put your college basketball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pickdawgz Premium, and there's a link in the description. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.